Shawnee Mission West High School will play its first football game tonight since a former classmate and teammate died last week. Andre Maloney suffered a stroke during a football game last Thursday and later died. Now, Andre was one of the area's top school athletes in football, and he had committed already to play for KU next year. Not only was he a great athlete, he was also a great student with a 3.7 GPA. Now, this morning, I am joined by sports medicine doctor Randall Goldstein to talk about stroke and concussions in young athletes. And I guess we should say right off the top, of course, we can't talk specifically about Andre's case.
Yes, good morning. Yeah, not to be respectful of the family, but
Absolutely.
also not to speculate. But there is information to share about concussion. There's not much research on the connection between stroke and mild traumatic brain injury. Probably the most important thing is to define concussion as a mild traumatic brain injury. It can happen from head impact or rotation or whiplash. And then the connection to the more severe traumatic brain injury like a cerebral vascular accident is just not great. There's some studies from other countries, but not a lot of information.
So what you're saying is it is not likely that a concussion actually led to, well...
Probably not. There's two types of strokes. One is ischemic stroke, where a clot blocks the artery and doesn't feed the rest of the brain with oxygen. And the second type is a hemorrhagic stroke, where there's some bleeding and injury. And a hemorrhagic stroke could occur from a head injury, but they're very rare, and that's the reason why we're so careful about diagnosing concussion, which is a mild traumatic brain injury, and they probably aren't related, the severe traumatic brain injury, which could cause a stroke.
Well, there's so much in the news now after Andre Maloney, and of course we hear all about what's happening in the NFL with concussions. Our parents, how often are concussions happening in high school football players, and are parents concerned about that? We know they are.
Sure. The most recent incident is tragic, and certainly we don't want any of our athletes to be injured. Concussions are common, and they're probably not more common than they were 10 years ago. I think we're just better at picking them up, and parents are good advocates for their kids, and trainers are doing a good job pulling kids off, and doctors are doing the best job we can to make sure they don't return until they're safe.
How do we know? Are there signs and symptoms? How can we as parents and coaches or just even fans, spectators?
Great question. So after a head impact, or even not in impact but rotation or whiplash, where the athlete looks confused or complains of a headache or takes his helmet off or looks like he's running to the wrong sidelines or isn't acting like he usually does, he or she should be pulled from the field. And headache, dizziness, light sensitivity, confusion, sleep disturbances, those are all hints that a concussion may have occurred earlier, and they should be looked at before they're returned to sport and even return to school.
All right. All good advice. Thank you so much, Dr.
Thanks for having me.
Goldstein, for coming.